Hello to all the Shutterbugs out there. For this Roll for Crit review, we're going to take a snapshot of Zoom In Barcelona from Blue Orange Games. In this game, you're in a photo contest in the city of Barcelona, and it's up to you to get the best photos of not just the landmarks, but maybe the skyline and some natural lighting as well.
And dragons, too.
Oh, can't forget the dragons.
We'll get to that later. You're going to be working with this beautiful, colorful map here of Barcelona, and everyone's going to have their own player pawn to move around and try to snap photos with. On your turn, the first thing you're going to do is move. So you can do a basic move action, which is simply moving up to 2 spaces away between any of these points as they're depicted on the board. Well, you can't do that. They have to be connected by these lines. Or you can take a slightly more advanced move action. You'll have some cards in hand, and these are transportation cards, different methods of transportation. Maybe you take a bike, car, or a bus, and those will let you move up to the amount of spaces on that card. So you'll be able to move faster, but you won't redraw these right away, so you have to make sure you're using them when it's really important. Then you'll be able to take an action on your turn. Usually it's going to be taking a photograph of something in your vicinity. So first, there are those landmark cards over there on the side, and they represent actual spots on the board. If you're in one of those spots, you can identify it by the number and color. You can see this 7 right here and this blue square is in there. You can take a photo and you receive that card. You've now taken that photo. It's yours for the end of the game. You'll score points through that. You can also take a photo from one of those natural light cards down there. Those are important because you need to take a certain amount of those in order to score more cards. So at the beginning of the game, you'll only be able to score 2 of the landmark photos that you have. But if you go to those locations and use the photo action to take those photos, you'll move your cube along the track, and then eventually you'll be able to score up to 8 if you take a picture of all of them. You can also use your zoom in function if you are a few spaces away from the area that you want to take a photo of. You can rotate your dial. You'll have 3 zoom points to start with, and you'll be able to take a photo from up to 3 spaces away. But those don't refill, so you have to make sure you're using them again at the right moment.
There are some other landmarks and important spaces on the board that you can interact with as well. First off, there are these skyline tokens. When you go there and take a photo, you may take one of the ones, if you don't have it, and add it to your collection. The reason you care about those is at the start of the game, you're gonna get this token, which looks the same to everyone, but the back has a secret goal. It has an order for the skyline tokens. The more consecutive you have there, the more points you get. So if you're able to get these 4 symbols in a row, pretty much get those 4, you will get more points. That would be 11 versus getting 4 random ones that aren't connected. And I drop. Next up, there's the info booth spots. These have the eye. What's important about these is the cards you use to move around, this is the only way to redraw them. First, you can discard any in hand if you don't really like it and you're really trying to draw those larger movements. Then you will draw back up to 3, getting more cards. If you don't want to use those cards but still need to jump around the map, there are metro spots you can go to. So if you're at a metro spot, you can always jump to another metro and take that. Finally, we're going to go back to dragons. Apparently, I did not know this, in Barcelona, there are over 400 dragon statues, and you can go there, and if you visit the dragon, it's going to gift you with a very special reward, pretty much almost any action. So if you can't reach across the board to get to a certain landmark or natural lighting, visit the dragon. It will help you do that, and then the dragon will move somewhere else for someone else to go and hunt down. You're going to keep doing this until someone has gotten 8 landmark cards. That doesn't mean they can score 8 landmark cards, just have taken 8 photos in essence. Then you're going to finish up and see who's gotten the most points, and that is the winner of this photo contest.
Now, each of those landmark cards are going to be worth 3 points on their own, but you'll get more points if you match them to the 2 theme tokens, which are going to be randomly chosen each game. There's different types. It could be just an icon on the card, or it could be an actual thing in the picture, like water or trees, or it could be something to do with the name. So if it has the word park in it, for instance, that one would be worth an extra point. So there's some incentive for you to go after different types of cards.
Don't worry though, each one's worth 3 on its own. Those are just bonuses. So don't feel bad if the lineup never shows what you need to get maybe both a park and that symbol.
Mm-hmm. So this is a nice, I think it's a very relaxing kind of pleasant theme for a game.
It falls under this category, which probably makes sense, where I feel like this is what you do on a vacation. So we're just making it so you're having a bit more of a a challenging one, but you're still having a vacation.
Yeah, you're in a, for us, a foreign place, and you're taking photos. You're having a good time. There is, like you said, competition, and one of the big things is there's a very first come first serve nature to the nature of this game. Obviously, the landmarks, once someone takes one, no one else can take it, so you might be kind of racing to that spot that you see before somebody else gets there. And then these are going to have a different number in each pile according to the number of players. So you can only take one you don't have, so you can't just like hoard one type so nobody else can get it.
Oh yeah, I'm going all in on churches, baby.
But you do need to be careful because, again, you need these consecutively according to your scoring tile. So if you really want this, but someone else then takes the one next to it and there's no more left of that type, that could really mess up that pattern for you. So this game is all about kind of trying, I think, to prioritize and read what other players are doing and where you should be focusing your efforts.
And of course, you got to make sure that natural lighting track, because that's really what allows you to score. That's the whole point, is not to make sure you focus on just these. This makes you actually jump around the map to try to hit those places, or at the very least, hit the dragon up multiple times.
Yeah, you can't really ignore the natural light. Like, you do kind of have to do that if you want to win.
Yeah, it's not impossible, but it's something to worry about. And speaking of first come, first serve, there, at least after playing it, I felt there was definitely an incentive to actually be the one to rush 8 photos, because that may throw someone off of not getting time to get that final landscape to complete the skyline or to score the points. So that is definitely very deadly if it's a rush of almost to be like, I don't even need to match. I just need to finish.
Yeah, the game does end immediately when that 8th photograph is taken. So there's not like a chance for you to get one last turn, which I thought it can feel a little harsh, but that's the way that the game is. Another thing that we found a little weird was those theming tokens. Like we said, they're kind of like a bonus because they're just an extra point. But particularly these ones, which award you for having water or trees.
Right, because all the rest are a symbol or a word. I can be like, the symbol is there or not there. Oh, there's park. There is park. We're good. That, on the other hand, says there's a tree or water in it. Now, these are probably fine, but we came across some that were like, it looks like there's a tree in the far corner because it's zoomed out. Does that count?
Yeah, this is a bush.
We're becoming too gamey.
Is this a shrub or a tree? What's the line there? So yeah, depending on your group, that could be something maybe you want to either don't use this or just agree beforehand what's a tree or not a tree. That's something that you'll want to take into account. There's also a minor issue we found with, for instance, a couple of these pieces are sort of can blend together. They're a little close in color, which can sometimes be annoying. I did find that, this is definitely a game where it feels like a race, as you said. I think that's the primary aspect of it is, yes, you want to try to do everything, but you really want to try to do everything faster than everybody else. That's what it boils down to.
That said, because of the nature of the game, for me personally, I think it works better on the higher player counts, partially because it gets so chaotic, you can just focus on your own thing and maybe you have more fun because you are collecting all these photos, and then it becomes more of the vacation and less of the race. Also, particularly the skyline things. We did one game where it was 2-player, so there's only one of each, and it really stinks that because Jonathan got there first and took it away, that I'm like, oh, I couldn't get it. Versus, if there's multiple players, first person goes there, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to think about that a bit more, not just you missed out once.
Yeah, and this does go up to 6 players, so you can get a lot of people in on the fun, and your turns go pretty quick, so I don't feel like having more players will really extend the game time to a point where that's going to be an issue.
No, and like I said, it does have those goal things, but most of these were 3 points, so once you understand that, because in our heads initially when we first played, we're like, oh, we got to focus on those goals. You're like, okay, no, I'm going to just get this photo because I'm near it. Or, I just like that one.
Yeah, just take pictures of what's pretty. It's a little vacation.
Crits and misses for Zoom In Barcelona.
Crits. The photography theme is pleasant, positive, and relaxing, and implemented in some neat ways, including that zoom in function that does mimic the use of a zoom lens in kind of a fun thematic way.
Combine that with a colorful board, cards with unique pictures of different locations, and of course, for me, that dragon token. And this will be something that many people will enjoy sitting down to.
There are several different types of photos for you to take. You'll have various options on your turn. The tension in this game comes from trying to decide which areas you need to prioritize before other players take them from you.
Make sure to keep an eye out because of the zoom function and the dragon. Other players may be closer to completing or reaching an objective than you realized. Misses. Because it is random which cards are being used for landmarks as well as which ones come out for natural lighting, it could be a bit annoying as you don't really have the move cards and you're not near anything.
In particular, if you're playing with a higher player count, you can have some downtime or a turn where you just don't really accomplish anything. Feels kind of anticlimactic, feels boring, not as exciting as other games might be.
While we enjoyed the journey, we weren't fans of the end game scoring. The cards themselves, because they had the flat bonus and maybe only slightly related to 2 different elements, we tend to ignore those. Some of the actually end game scorings were hard to interpret, and we argued whether a card achieved that or not. It wasn't something that we enjoyed tallying up.
There are a few different ways to score points, but ultimately none of them feel terribly impactful outside of just trying to collect as many cards as you can before anyone else. So it boils down to a simple race that doesn't feel very exciting and can feel like if you're trying to go for a more interesting strategy, you're just going to get left behind.
This game has a lot of things to offer while you're actually playing. It's cool the different landmarks that come out. They're all unique. Realizing that you want to balance between collecting those, it seems at first, and the natural light and other things. But once we played some and see how the end game scoring, it just became, all right, I'm going to rush taking photos. I don't care of what because they're worth enough points at the end. And I actually, since it ends immediately at 8 photos, I'm going to win by timing you out.
Yeah, I really wish there was everybody gets an equal amount of turns or there's some kind of extra thing you can try to do. Because like you said, this game to me is like so close to being really good. And as it is, I think it's just fine. I don't know. I really do think it comes down to that scoring system. If there were just some tweaks maybe with the types of cards or how many points things gave you, or maybe like one other thing you could do on the board that would give you a bonus, I think it would go a long way. But as it stands, it just didn't quite make it for me.
Right, and I don't even think there, for the most part, needs to be component added to it. Maybe 3 different goals on there. So there are a lot of different things you can look at for a card if it has this bonus. Maybe also there's a reward for whoever has the most stars for each region. So then you may be like, oh, I'm going to focus on this region. It might not give me points, but I'm going to have the most there. So it's much harder to see an obvious winner outside of the person who took the most photos.
Yeah, it really feels to me like just a small expansion, if they came up with some of that kind of stuff, could really take this to the next level. I think even something like personal goals, if there was a theme only you wanted, or like you said, a region you wanted.
Well, I mean, I'm always a fan of secret goals.
That is what you do have that
because everyone's secret goal is literally these in different orders.
Right.
This is one of those times where like, I don't know, but I am ruining your day by doing that.
Right. Yeah, like everybody wants all these. So even though you do want them in a different order, it doesn't really feel like it's your thing. Mm-hmm.
And you can probably guess like if someone has 4, well, there's a good chance they have 11 points. Maybe they're 7 and 1, but
Yeah. You could try to go from either end. It depends on what how risky you feel like being. So, there's a lot of good things going for this game. Not quite perfect, but I do think if you like this theme, and it's pretty light and pretty easy to teach, so it has that going.
And like we said, I think unlike maybe some other games we complain where it's components or the mechanics of it, it's really the end game, which is probably the easiest thing to be fixed.
Yeah, maybe you can figure out some house rules that work for you, or maybe you're just fine with the way it scores and none of that stuff will bother you. I don't know. Up to you. Your mileage may vary, your frequent flyer mileage, because you're like taking a trip. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let us know. Have you had the chance to play Zoom In Barcelona? Maybe you want a new edition. Maybe they should make a whole series of Zoom In other cities.
I assumed that was going to be the case.
It very well could be. Talk to us in the comments section. Give us your thoughts and opinions.
I'd love to also know if you've actually been to Barcelona. What's your favorite dragon? I did not know they had so many, so I want to see some notes of which dragon should be visited.
Share your dragon photos. We'll look forward to them. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this has been Roll for Crit.
Congratulations, you have reached the end of the video. But before you leave, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. If you want to help us out more, you can check us out on Patreon. And if you want to see us play about in playing board games or some video games, you can check out our Twitch or our other YouTube channel, Roll for Crit Live, for more longer form videos that tend to be streamed live. So come join us.